Playable Vrykul. I mean, it's something I talk about all the time. It's something I've mentioned many times before. I've even said that in our next venture into Northrend, I hope that our capital city is some sort of like undiscovered Vrykul capital. Give me like great Viking music, give me badass Viking aesthetics, and make that our hub city. Oh, I'd be all about it. And then on top of that, the cherry on top, Playable Vrykul. Evidently, Blizzard is teasing Playable Vrykul as BlizzCon approaches. Let's see what this one hears from the teller of 1,000 truths, Thorin.
BlizzCon is happening any day now, and in these close periods like these league seasons is usually when we start getting completely legit data mine information that actually reveals the big features of the next expansion. Now this is how we learned about Dragonflight, if you guys remember. This is how we learned about the War Within and Kazlagar, and right now it might not be any different. We have data mined some incredibly interesting mounts containing detailed Vrykul architecture on the live servers, which could point towards potential last Titan features. Playable Vrykul have been in the talks since Wrath of the Lich King, and right now is the perfect opportunity. They are the ancestors of the humans, they are Titan creations, and we are getting a Titan expansion.
Yeah, I mean, I talk about Playable Vrykul, but it does also fit the lore a lot. Yes, they are very much the first iteration of skin Titan creations. The Vrykul, the humans are like a degenerated version of the Vrykul. The Vrykul are really like the first iteration of Curse of Flesh, leaving giant stony boy titans becoming Vrykul creations. So, I mean, it would make sense that in this expansion when we're going back to Northrend, talking about titans and everything that happened with them and what their creations look like, to be able to play as Vrykul, because they're like the closest thing to Titan creation morphed a little bit by Curse of Flesh.
Crazy stuff is happening in Northrend, and existential stuff will be happening to the Vrykul in general, with us having to fight the Titans. So what is everything we currently know, and are the Vrykul legit on the horizon as a potential playable race? 12 Point On is out Midnight Season 2, and right now is like the perfect window of opportunity for you to really up your game to enter Season 2 with a very good plan. Over here,
okay,
it's
get your
offering
plan
the
straight.
best WoW coaching, so don't
Are they going to make Vrykul sad boys
who
who wish they had feelings, though? No, come on. They're Vikings. Everybody knows Vikings don't have feelings. That's impossible. I sure hope not. Somebody said we got Kultiran. That should be good enough. Oh my god. No. No, Kultiran's bellies are too big to be Vrykul. We need Vrykul. Don't take him away from me, guys.
Best of all, for this opportunity, they just came out with the biggest discount code yet, Dorans12. But it's only valid until the end of August, which is honestly the biggest discount they can offer, so I would use the opportunity. So use Dorans12 to get ahead of everyone. So believe it or not, I mean, time is going like crazy by. BlizzCon is coming out in just a couple of weeks. We are soon to be counting days, and right now, as I said, it's kind of that period where we start data mining some really suspicious stuff that can actually reveal legit expansion features. Almost certainly the last Titan is getting announced in just a bit, and things are kind of starting to heat up at this point. If you remember, we actually data mined a whole bunch of expansion features way before the expansions actually came out.
Actually,
I remember
not
this. Way before they came out, but before they were announced. During Shadowlands, we data mined some dragon mounts and a whole bunch of dragon stuff that we've talked about for a couple of months, and we ended up getting Dragon Isles and Dragonflight. During Dragonflight, we started data mining these griffins, these like books and everything, and these Kazlagar mansions, and then we of course got the War Within. Also, right around Dragonflight, we started discovering some Goblin and Zeppelin type stuff that ended up actually being the undermine.
We really did know a lot of this shit before it hit.
Remember, as early as like Shadowlands and Dragonflight, like around that period, we began getting a whole bunch of revamp assets. That's one of the reasons I've been talking about the world revamp.
And my greatest call of all time, by far, will be when all these revamped assets for Silvermoon started coming out. You guys remember? I have to go back on my own YouTube channel and find it. And what did I say? Anyone want to say it for me in the chat? Do you guys remember what I said when I saw all the revamped assets for Silvermoon? I said, guys, I think they're revamping Silvermoon, and they're going to make it a cross-faction hub city. You guys remember that shit? You guys remember the prophetic words of Samiccus? And some people were like, oh, never. Oh, my God. They could. How are they going to make it cross-faction? They can't do that. And I told you guys they're going to do it, and they're going to make it a hub city. I'm telling you. You guys got to fucking listen to me. Unbelievable. One of my greatest calls of all time. I gotta say it. I said it like during fucking Shadowlands.
For years. Like, during one point we just got so much Blood Elven stuff that it got super suspicious, and this was like a year or two before the World Soul Saga was even announced. So even back then, we discovered that Silvermoon and Keltalas is getting revamped. And now we could potentially be getting something, as just a couple of days back we determined an incredibly interesting mount in the game called the Heartskeeper Wandering Caravan, and this has been determined on the live servers listed as an in-game shop mount, but it's not actually.
Oh yeah, the $90. I think this is gonna be the next $90 mount. I'm just throwing that call out there, right? You guys always Sam makes great calls. Some people saying my only great call was Silvermoon, but I think this is gonna be our next $90 mount. It's tagged as a store mount, and it's got 2 seats, one on each side. It's even got a porch off the back. I mean, we talked about this yesterday. Some people, when they saw the Hearthseeker as the name of this mount, some people think maybe this will be a rested XP mount as well because it has a little home on the back. So maybe whenever you open it up, it'll actually give rested XP as well. There's so much potential for this mount. I do think with all the detail given and everything, if you see this thing animated, it's pretty amazing. It's going to be a $90 mount. It's going to be our next $90 mount from the store.
On the shop at the moment. Now, the fact that it is a shop mount doesn't actually mean like this whole hint is BS, because as I said, we data shop mounts.
Well, it won't just be rested XP. It'll have 2 NPCs on it. Some people are like, oh, give us a barber shop and something else on it. That'll be things. There'll be things. Imagine having a mount with a barber. Yeah, I mean, that's what people are saying. Give us a barber shop, maybe an auction house on top of that. I don't know, but there's a lot of potential for this. But yeah, rested XP mount. I don't know. Anywhere you just mount up while you're leveling and then you log off, mount it up, you're getting rested XP.
For Dragonflight, like that was pretty much the exact same mechanism how we discovered Dragonflight. Now, the mount itself is kind of weird, honestly, because it's not technically like a Vrykul mount, it's a yak, but it has a really detailed Vrykul house on it. Like, the architecture itself is undeniable. Seeing that the Vrykul are actually huge, I mean, they're something akin to giants, obviously when compared to humans. The evidence here isn't the fact that they had built like a racial mount for the Vrykul, as I honestly doubt the Vrykul would even fit on this, but as the Tauren others would fit, they probably would as well. The big talk about this mount is the fact that they created this whole new, very detailed house for the Vrykul and their aesthetics. Now, obviously, we are going into revamped Northrend, so the Vrykul would get revamped, but the Vrykul in particular are very interesting. I mean, first of all, the Vrykul are actually a really popular and highly requested, like one of the most highly requested playable races, and it's potentially
they're badass.
Potentially, I mean, it is one of the last chances for Blizzard to add a really interesting race. The lore itself is also completely there. Now, back in Vrykul, the Vrykul were mostly just villains and the bad guys of the expansion, with many of them joining the Scourge, but actually a lot has happened since then. We know, for example, during BFA, they sent one of their fleets, they sent their traders all the time, and we actually got the book Exploring Azeroth Northrend, where we got the update to Northrend, the lore side of Northrend after the Shadowlands. That is the last official status update of the continent. The Bronzebeard brothers themselves reported activities of the Vrykul across the frozen continent. For example, in Howling Fjord, the Vrykul clans have been mainly keeping to themselves. The Winter Scorn actually almost completely managed to rebuild the giant city of Scorn in Howling Fjord, and the Dragonflare clan continued to regularly attack the walls of Waldegard. Now, in Sholazar Basin, the Vrykul have been roaming around and capturing proto-dragons to reinforce their mount stables, and in Grizzly Hills, the Vrykul have been fairly quiet, probably the lowest bit of their activity, which Muradin himself assumed is because of the presence of the Horde troops. The biggest part of the Northern Vrykul is actually in Jotunheim, and they're still around, and they're still challenging each other in these like duels of glory. If you remember, these guys used to work with the Lich King and they sent their troops there, but they have no death god to serve anymore. So the Vrykul are not actually gone, and also this...
No, they're not gone, and they're freaking literally rebuilding in the lore, so why can't we just have them rebuild a new city for us to actually spend time in? The whole thing about the Vrykul and what's really cool about them is not that they just have deep lore and everything, but all the armor sets and everything already kind of fit them. And they have so much armor that we don't even wear in the game yet. There's a lot of Viking-inspired armor that you've seen on Vrykul that we don't have yet. So all of that loot and everything about them, I mean, it would just be great to have them. It would be on the level of Blizzard had they given us playable Amani Trolls in this expansion. It just fits so well. The story makes sense. Everything seems just about right. Now, what did the Amani Trolls teach us? Even if everything lines up perfectly, it doesn't mean they're going to do it. So we still might not get them, but if we were ever going to get them, this is Blizzard's chance.
Despite these guys primarily being villains, they're not actually bad guys. If you know the lore, you know that Vrykul are actually humans. I mean, certain Vrykul rebelled with other Titan Forged and ventured south, and that is how we got the humans, dwarves, and the gnomes. So it is entirely possible that a certain rebellious group joins us back there, just like how we got the Earthen, which despite being a different group in Kazagard, are technically their ancestors, the ancestors of the dwarves. Furthermore, while we were talking about the war within, actually the Vrykul have been continuously pushed on us even in the war within. If you remember, we had Vrykul raiders from the Bloodway clan that were drawn to the Siren Isle. Now that is of course the lore, but when it comes to the Vrykul actually being playable from the gameplay side of things, that is actually totally realistic, and one big factor are the Kultira. Now, of course, in Northrend, some Vrykul can actually be gigantic, but technically, lore-wise, the Tauren are also gigantic. They're much larger than the in-game counterparts. So, one thing that makes this case stronger is the existence of the Kultiran. They could totally just work on that Kultiran rig, and realistically they're around the same size, maybe slightly larger. It is also possible that this could be like a different...
I mean, basically you could use the Kultiran rig, but tone down the belly, right? Give him a six-pack, give him like 50 beard customizations, because everyone knows if you're going to give us playable Vrykul, the beard has to be like one of the biggest customization parts about it. And then a bunch of tattoo customizations too, right? Give us a bunch of glyph, you know, hieroglyphic, tattoo, Viking shit all over them. And then bam, that's it. Playable Vrykul can be activated.
Type of the Vrykul that we discovered.
It wouldn't be hard.
Not just complete giants. Furthermore, there is some evidence going around about the potential shattering of Northrend that could happen, which is actually a very realistic scenario. I mean, keep in mind, some decently legitimate hints are going around that at the end of Midnight, Zelda tries to become Azeroth, and then the Titans step in and awaken her as one of their own, and then we're going to have to fight the Titan version of Azeroth in Northrend. Now, if something really big happens with the World Soul, it's entirely possible that Azeroth as a planet is going to react weirdly, like how when the World Soul was ripped out in Harandar and we got that Rift of Aln, there was forever a weird zone. Now, imagine if Azeroth awakens, we could be talking storms, like a mini cataclysm, so the actual shattering of Northrend is possible, and it could be a good introduction to a revamped Northrend, so it's not just the same continent, just with new models. This could split the Vrykul tribes and cause a whole lot of problems, which could be kind of similar to the Amani stuff that we are currently getting in Midnight. However, Vrykul being playable would of course be super cool. I mean, it's one of the coolest looking races with very interesting lore, inherent connection to the humans, and actually it's super relevant currently to the last Titan. I mean, these guys used to be Titan servants, now they're just kind of their own people, and they're just doing crazy stuff in Northrend. Seeing that something is going to structurally change, I mean, they can't just keep living in their own ways, and I'm certain that some Vrykul are going to turn against the Titans, while some could potentially see it as like the return of their makers, the old gods, and then we could have like different factions of the Vrykul. Sure, right now, I mean,
man, could you imagine too? Like, I would expect there to be able to, you know, in terms of classes, like we know there's caster Vrykul, there's one right here. There's a ton of caster class Vrykul. And then obviously all the physical classes, the warriors, I mean, I guess you could even have rogues, even though they're kind of big for it to be a rogue. But you could make them just about any class. But imagine Death Knight Vrykul. I mean, you would assume that all that time they spent in Northrend, there's no way the Lich King didn't raise some of the dead Vrykul that I'm sure he came up against as, you know, in Undeath, as Death Knights. And then you give him this icy-ass armor set. Oh my god. Talk about badassery. I mean, one of these boys standing there as a Death Knight? Oh, shit. Yeah, I mean, the potential's all there. They have all the classes. They even have all the animations, too. A lot of the animations are already there in these guys. They're just ready to be launched.
Of the Vrykul. Sure, right now, I mean, I completely understand it's small evidence-based amount, but keep in mind, as I said, we're literally just a couple of...
That's true. Anything light-aligned, right? Because they worship Odin and all that shit. You're totally right. Vrykul Paladins, for sure they could do that.
Weeks pre-BlizzCon, we're talking like 3-4 weeks. We're just counting the days until the last Titan announcement. Based on previous experience, right now is kind of that exact timing when we start getting the big data mines, the actual legit leaks and hints that can point out towards features of the future expansion. Thanks for watching. Check my video on Undercity and Terrasful Glades coming soon by clicking on the screen, and check out my brand new Witcher Lore channel by clicking on the screen as well. See you next time.
Look, cool video, and as likely as it seems, it still could not happen, of course, because like I said, we saw it not happen in Midnight, where it totally made sense for us to get playable Amani, and we didn't get it. Even in the War Within, it made sense for us to get maybe Ethereals. Nope, didn't happen. So look, all these things when they line up perfectly, it still doesn't happen sometimes. Will playable Vrykul happen? I'm not sure, but this is our best chance we've ever had at it. So hopefully, fingers crossed, balls crossed, that every other, appendage crossed. Hopefully it does happen. Nice video overall from Thorin.